92. It's probably one of the most famous moments where the broader world at large met macro trading. And this was really where you and Druck and Soros basically broke the back of the Bank of England. And it's really an interesting window into assessing all of these things. So can you give us the conditions on the ground at that moment and what new reality you saw for England? And then it would be great from there, we'll contrast and compare it to America today.
Good. So it's a great historical example, and it also kind of brings in three dimensions. So I was the analyst, Stan was the portfolio manager, and then in a way, George was the risk manager.
Okay.
So I was running the UK office. I was on the ground in the UK, and I had this light bulb go off, and I thought kind of the fulcrum thought, or like my differentiated view was that the UK had just had a big housing boom. Mm-hmm. And UK mortgages at that time, they didn't have long-term mortgages. They were all floating rate. So if the Bank of England raised rates on a Wednesday, your mortgage went up on a Friday.
Yeah.
The UK had hooked into something called the exchange rate mechanism. They had to balance versus the Deutschmark. They had to stay within a band. I noticed that if they raised, or I thought if they raised rates to try to stay in the band and protect the currency, it would be unsustainable because British homeowners would get bankrupted. Mm-hmm. Stan's great feat of analysis was figuring out that, gosh, these bands set up this incredible asymmetric bet because I can push them up against one side of the band, and their mandate is just to push me back to the other side. Right. So we just lose 2.5%. Mm-hmm. And Stan tells this great story of like telling George Soros, oh, well, here's what I want to do. And he says he told him, and George says, well, how much do you want to do? And he said, probably 100% of the fund. And he said, Soros gave him this really sour look. And he thought that he had said something wrong. He goes, well, why wouldn't you do 3 times that? So anyway, it was, we pushed them against the band. The Bank of England, the British government had to buy this unlimited amount of pounds, and they started raising interest rates, and this was September of 1992, and eventually they just weren't able to sustain the pressure from the high rates and came out. And then the asymmetric risk reward was we made about 20-something% in a day.
Yeah. Right.
And back to what was really Stan's genius is, I don't know if either of you play backgammon, but in backgammon, there's the move after the move. Yeah. And so Stan, we'd made all that money and we were kind of euphoric. He goes, okay, now what? Because there's going to be the trade after the trade. So we made that much in a day, but then it was actually the trade after the trade. This isn't well publicized. I think we made another 20% during the rest of the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So again, this is the trade after the trade, right? The move after the move. This is what we're witnessing in real time. And people are trying to pretend like this man doesn't know what he's doing. Of course he knows what he's doing. These people are ridiculous, right? They're so